It is Nick Gibbs Tuesday. So I spoke this morning. My main theme of the morning show was optimism. And the optimism seems to be continuing everywhere except Tesla's stock. The stock went up over 3% early this morning. Elon said, "Oh, the big, beautiful bill is not so big and beautiful, needs to be slashed and cut and burned." And he didn't like it at all. And then a little while later, he said that we should, uh, I guess the idea would be primary any Republicans that are not getting on board with the necessary cuts and slashes. Is that how? And each time he talked, the stock went down a percent. So is that how you're seeing things?
Uh, I would say that is how things unfolded today. Yep, that's exactly what I would say. That's spot on. Stock was doing good. Elon threw some shade at the beautiful bill, and the market said it'll cut Tesla stock price. You want cuts? We'll give you some cuts.
You got it. So why do you think that is? Do you think that that's fear that Elon's adrenaline is going to get pumping and he will put more time back into the political side of things rather than Tesla side of things? Or why do you think people are taking it's this that's so seriously?
I think people are worried that this might become a Trump to Tim Cook is to Apple
Ah,
becomes Trump to Elon to Tesla kind of situation. I think that's what this is. But if you read his post, you'll notice he was very intentional with his word choice, talking about Congress. And I don't know, part of me wants to think he's obviously talked to Trump about this, and I imagine Trump is saying like, "What can I do? Like, we don't have the votes. Like, it's such like, and we got to pass something. Like, we got to keep the government going, and we can't have these tax cuts not happen." And so maybe, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't think that Elon is running by things to by. I don't think he's running things by the president before he posts them. But I do think he's potentially letting his friend know, hey, I know this might not be great for you, but I'm going to be posting this, or maybe not even like that, but just I need to be able to speak freely.
so I have a theory. My theory goes like this: that Trump recognizes that there could be more trims. He's kind of staying out of it for now. That the Senate is apparently got at least four votes that are likely to not pass it as is, and that any additional trimming would probably be enough for the markets, probably be enough even for Rand Paul. May not totally satisfy Elon, but would be helpful. And then add in some rescissions, and I think even the bond market gets excited. What do you think?
I think Rand Paul was on CNBC today, and I think he said it in a very good way. Like if every department would just cut 6%, we're balanced. And honestly, I think that should be the mandate. Every department, every part of government, figure it out. Figure out your 6%. Go. Don't bring a bill to me until you've done that.
From here,
From here, yes.
take the BBB the way it is right now and say, okay, this is what we've already done. Now everybody take another 6%.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And maybe the
A
number's
balanced budget.
3%. And maybe the number's 3%. And maybe it's
No,
stupid.
no, 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 it's six. It's six.
I'm
Yeah.
just I'm just saying, I'm just thinking that maybe you've got some departments who've already cut a lot. So they might be going, hey, wait a minute, we've already done ours. Whereas let's say
Nobody's cut.
nobody's cut.
Nobody's cut.
Well, yeah,
Where are the cuts? Where?
yeah, they've been coming forward and talking about we see personnel that have been cut. I mean, we know that that's happening.
That's not a cut. That's not like it's not just human capital you're cut. You got cut spending.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we know
Spending's not just people.
We know that contracts have been cut. We know that consultants have
But
been
they're
cut.
not codified in law is the problem. Hence
Okay.
the whole
Yes.
rescission bill.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So rescission, maybe it's rescission plus 3%, 6% would be
But
fine.
even the rescission bill would only be $9 billion, which is nothing.
That's a first. They've stated very
Y-
clearly that once they do the 9 billion, they'll be bringing back additional rescission bills after that.
Yeah, that's nobody trusts them though. No one
I see.
believes it. You know.
Well, they can be doing
So
this simultaneously during the month of May.
yeah, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I honestly, I think, look, this is our shot. This is our chance. We've got the seats, we've got the people, we've got the political capital. It's the time to do it.
Put the
This is it.
pressure on. Have Trump put
I
the
honestly, I normally don't agree with the majority of what you hear Jason say on the All In podcast.
uh-huh.
He's hit the nail on the head on this when it comes to Trump. And there is a counter that 𝐤𝐚𝐚𝐢𝐥 has said a couple of times that I do think you have to give an asterisk to it. But you haven't seen Trump coming out here and telling his party, no, we need cuts. We need a balanced budget. I want a balanced budget. You haven't seen any of that. But to 𝐤𝐚𝐚𝐢𝐥's point, we don't know what he's doing behind closed doors. Trump's actually been really quiet on this.
Mm-hmm.
And, many times that's what he does. Everyone always thinks he yells out publicly, but Trump very clearly yells privately. And then when there isn't good effort or good faith, then he goes public. We've seen that clearly in the tariffs.
Right. Now, Scott Bessent says that he doesn't want it to go down that fast. He wants to end up with a 3% deficit 2 years from now. And that would be in his opinion, that would be a balanced budget, would be a 3% deficit, because he's afraid of taking away, too much spending too fast and the impact that'll have on the economy. So obviously, I think that Trump is listening to Bessent in a majorly way, to use a Trumpian phrase. Don't you think that might be part of the reason Trump has been putting less pressure on the Republicans?
I mean, I think he's putting a lot of pressure behind closed doors. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that from Besson's point of view, because you're not going to have everything could change in 2 years, right? You could lose Congress. You could lose the political environment where people are willing to make cuts right now. Like, you got to strike where you have the opportunity. You just can't wait. Like, this is it. This is Manhattan Project level,
All right, let's come back to the overall economy in a minute. I brought this up early because it was related to the stock price today, and clearly, every time Elon talked about politics, it really battered the stock. But you and I have both been looking for FOMO. We might have seen a little bit of FOMO this morning when it was up 3.5%, even though the NASDAQ was only up like about 1%, 1.1%. So how are you looking, assuming that the politics don't get too much in the way, assuming that the risk on kind of stays where it is or continues to be okay? Do you think we will still see significant FOMO between now and next Thursday?
At some point, yeah, probably we'll see a little something, but not. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it FOMO.
Okay.
Right? Like FOMO, I think we need let's define our terms. How do you quantify FOMO, Randy?
So the FOMO is emotional, based on the fear of missing out.
No, I understand what it means, but
No, I'm just saying
would you?
it's emotive. It's emotional. It's a let me. I'm going to sell the house and buy Tesla. It's not a reasoned, thoughtful expression of where we think the fundamentals are going to be a year from now.
I get that, but then we have to critically decide what type of move equates to FOMO.
Oh, I see.
Is a $5 move FOMO, or does it take a $15, $20 move to be considered FOMO? Like, what's considered quantitatively FOMO versus just
I see.
up and down day?
Yeah, no, I would say that the entire move I was expecting, the other 100 points, is FOMO. Yeah. between now and then. Yeah.
then
Yeah.
then no, I do not think we will get that. Um, short. I mean, anything's possible, but I don't think we'll get that. It's the thing is, next week we don't really know anything. All we know is a supposed rumor by Bloomberg. And honestly, if I was Elon, if I was Tesla, I would intentionally not do it on the 12th. I would intentionally do it. And for all we know, the only reason they know the 12th is because they were trying to figure out who's the one leaking things, and so they created that fictional date.
Yeah. 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 We
So
do.
I don't know. I have less faith of it happening on the 12th just because it's a leak.
I see. Okay. And there is information from Larry Goldberg, who does have clearly, I understand his inside information, know where it's coming from, and the inside information that he has is that that date is not solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would not think it is.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so I don't think we'll get FOMO unless we start to see signs of things happening, or like an event getting set up, or something
Okay.
like just some things that are not rumors but like real obvious telltale signs, or if they start saying things on X. Honestly, I thought we were about to be there.
Hmm.
I thought it was going to start happening when Elon just randomly talked about a shock, and um what's his name, head of Optimus. Anyways, essentially being there from the beginning. The shock's the first one. It's like you're saying that nostalgically because you're about to accomplish a big
Yeah.
milestone,
Yeah. Yeah.
very clearly. And then Tesla account posts uh the future's autonomy, whatever post from We Robot. It's like it seemed like, okay, is something about to happen? Are you guys like getting ready to drop some news? Like what's happening here? And then nothing. And so I don't know. It just it feels like we're something should drop, but for all we know, we might find out next week. Hey, we actually launched this on the first, and maybe that's why Elon posted that. Which I do kind of think is what's going to happen.
You think it'll be
My gut,
a silent launch?
yeah, my bet is that it's already launched. We just don't know it.
Okay. But there's a lot of eyeballs out there in Austin right now driving around looking for cars without drivers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. All right. So as the launch actually happens, when we actually have the launch and we have the first couple of weeks of sightings, videos, Grok will be in the car, so people will be talking to Grok and making that'll be kind of a fun part of the launch. Um, People will be looking for the headline about the car hitting a curb, or something worse. So all of this will be happening that first couple of weeks. As it actually rolls out, it's actually happening, assuming nobody really gets hurt, no significant uh, major go to war headlines. Do we start to see the stock inch up or gallop up or do something at that point?
Well, right now the market is going to be focused on the jobs number on Friday. So it really depends on that. If we sell off because the jobs number down to 320, then yeah, maybe by then we have up back to 340. If it's a good jobs number and we're at 360, 370, I don't know. It really depends on what happens between now and then. Um, but to your point, I think I think I could be wrong, but I think what could happen is that right now everything is live. The Robotaxis are alive. And once somebody captures on video or something of a Tesla driving without anyone in the steering wheel and that starts to go viral, then they'll confirm on X. We launched on whatever date. We've had X amount of rides. So far, so good. We're proceeding cautiously. I don't know why, but I just feel like that'd be like the best way to do it. It's like, yeah, no big deal. We launched. Oh, you're just now seeing it because it'd be everywhere. It'd be all over. It'd be the talk of every program and everything. Just wait till the public figures it out and makes it go viral. Um, and then at that point, I would think that the stock would start ripping up rather than it being a sell the news kind of thing.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So Brian White and I had a video last night that if people didn't watch it, they should go back and take a look at it. Uh, the subject matter was catalysts between now and the end of the year, of which there are many, many, many possibilities of significant catalysts. We agreed on some, disagreed on others, but the one that we were super clear on was that when Tesla FSD becomes unsupervised and all of us are able to drive it without supervision, this will be the greatest catalyst in the history of Tesla. Everybody will want to show it to their neighbor. It will be talked about on television. People will be doing all kinds of stunts in terms of, videos being in the backseat of the car while the car is driving. There'll be a huge number of activities among the community touting this new development. I think it will be the thing that moves us well into the next level of the 1,000 by the end of the year that I've been talking about.
Well, can you? But what specifically, or the whole narrative?
What specifically? I'm sorry.
What specifically do you think will be what moves it?
What will move it will be that that this is the most important feature that has ever been added to a car, except maybe ignition, inside ignition.
Okay, so but you mean FSD, because you mentioned Grok, so I didn't know if like you're also like saying like that's.
I was saying Grok will be in the car. That was the earlier. Did I say Grok by mistake? I meant FSD unsupervised, with people doing videos of riding in the back seat, blah 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 blah. But having the entire country, maybe even more countries, but certainly the whole United States, where you, I, and everybody that we know that has FSD can now do it without supervision, will be the most important feature that's ever been added to a car. And that will be a massive, massive uptick to the stock.
And you think, I don't know. It's just so hard to know what's going to be the thing. I almost feel like it's all just going to be dependent on how it scales. And as it seems evident that they passed Waymo, I think that's just going to send it to that next level. And I'm not sure if I think it's $1,000 that next. I mean, I want it to be, Randy. Like, I want it to be. But yeah.
Okay. Well, my theory is that this is going to be the FSD being fully unsupervised for everybody in the United States will sell vehicles. It's not going to just be fun and games and Robotaxi and blah, blah, blah. It is going to be people will go buy the vehicle for the feature, like they did in the 50s with air conditioning, or like they did, in the 80s with seatbelts when that finally became a thing, or, they will be, okay, I have to have, my next car is going to have this feature. I want to get it now. I'm going to sell my car now because I want this feature. So this will be, not only will it be, oh my gosh, we now have this feature, but also I need it for my car. I want it for my car. I want to be able to show off that I've got it. I want to be part of the first one on my, first on my block to have it. All that kind of energy that will become evident to everybody that it's not already evident to now. It'll become evident in the first weeks after it's announced, as you show it to your neighbors that you've already shown before, but now you're showing it to them in a very different way.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll play out differently.
Okay.
In how it becomes the I need to have product. I think the way it'll pan out, and I'm probably gonna be wrong, but it's just how my mind works and what I think. But I think it'll first go a mainstream viral in that sense, with people just choosing not to buy vehicles because they have the ability to just use a Robotaxi. And I think there'll be less of that want or desire to buy a vehicle. And instead, I think people will be clamoring to get robotaxis in their city so then they can ditch owning a vehicle, not necessarily go out and buy one. And the reason I think it'll play out like that is because I almost feel like they won't. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work, but because unsupervised FSD for us people is going to be delayed compared to Robotaxi, it just seems like, why would I go buy a car for that when I just have Robotaxis in my city at this point? Like, why do I need to own the car? Like, I guess some people are going to buy a car, but to what you're talking about, we're talking about something going viral in the masses, not just 2 million people having vehicles, like purchases a year for Tesla, but like we're talking about like big numbers. And I think for that, it'll be more so people saying, get into my city so I can ditch my car. I don't want a car anymore. Now, if you have a Tesla already, you might choose to purchase FSD at that point because you're like, well, I already got the car, I already paid for it. But I think people who don't have a Tesla would be more likely to just say, great, I'm going to get rid of my car, or I'm going to call my insurance company and get minimal insurance on it because I'm barely going to drive because I'm always going to be using Robotaxis, but I still want to have that, that vehicle for those weird one-offs. But I think it'd be more like that. But it's all going to be dependent on when they roll out unsupervised FSD and the scale of robotaxis. Because I'm 100% confident that's what would happen if unsupervised FSD only rolls out to cities that already have robotaxis.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. So if it's like, okay, Austin, we have robotaxis. Okay, now they can have unsupervised FSD. And then once you go out of a certain area, it's supervised again. Oh, San Fran, we're in there now. Okay, couple months. Okay, now you have unsupervised. If it rolls out like that, then I am 100% confident what I'm saying is going to be accurate. The reason why I'd be wrong would be if they're like, hey, we're in 3 or 4 cities, and now, hey, everybody has unsupervised FSD.
Right.
Then I could see what you're saying would be more of the case where people start flocking to it. So that was a very long-winded way, but it's just trying to show how my thinking is on this.
All right. And then you also have, of course, the individuals who will buy a Tesla as a business proposition once it's completely unsupervised. Now,
That's a good point.
That could start happening as a result of Robotaxi being successful, even before the unsupervised for everybody is rolled out. But in some combination, there is going to be some point at which entrepreneurs are going to start getting in the game. Okay. Are you playing any other energy stocks other than Tesla? Any MSRs, any oil and gas, anything else with this massive, massive U.S. effort, government effort, leading the big Magnificent Seven and others, all requiring so much energy. Has that caused you to start looking at those stocks?
Yeah, I trade CEG a lot.
CEG, okay.
Yeah.
CEG is...
if you're not familiar with them, they're Constellation Energy. You might have seen them in the news today.
I have seen them in the news today. Okay. Yeah. So they're doing MSRs and regular nukes, right?
Yeah. I don't know their business that well. I just trade them.
Okay. You just trade them.
But yes. Yeah. But yeah, but other than that, no, just Tesla.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I've been trying to, find some folks that are actually studying that area. We've got Brian Wong, who's, a genius at it, but I was looking for someone to balance him with regard to some of his side. Larry, I know, is doing it, but he's been very close to the vest with regard to giving us any names. So on the same subject, in terms of energy, some of the wellheads are being shut down now, just as you suggested. And also the Saudis say they're going to add to the supply in July, which would be another reason for some wellheads to shut down. So do you think that the president is going to be able to find enough investors to get that natural gas pipeline built in Alaska?
Yeah.
He'll get it. He'll find them.
Yeah. I don't think it's that hard to find investors in the United States if you have a good project. And especially if it builds you goodwill and political capital with the United States right now.
Okay, so you have no worries about that one. Okay, all right. So markets are pretty risk on right now overall, but we're not back to all-time highs. What's it going to take? Is it going to take the bond market finally giving up a little bit, or do you think the bond? Are you in the Jamie Dimon camp where we're stuck at 4.5 for the duration? Goldman Sachs said the same thing.
Um, yeah, okay, so let's take your first thing you said as far as risk on.
Yeah.
I would say the market is not risk on.
Oh, okay.
I would say the market is in equilibrium and it's scared to go up, scared to go down.
I see.
So that's where I think we are right now. Um, it's look, if you're a trader, it's great. You got two-way markets. But the market is timid, I think. It's not sure what it wants to do. It's indecisive. And it's honestly going to take just one event, one news cycle, one data point to come in that I think will send things, one way or the other. So right now, I think that's where we're at. I don't think we're risk on. And I think the bonds are reflecting that.
Yeah.
Just to tie it to your next point. The bonds, you can see the 30 years and the 20-year, I believe, is under 5%. The 10-year, I think, is right at 4 or 5 or just under 4 or 5.
Just under 4 or 5.
Yeah, so you can see the bond market's cooled off a little bit from what it was. And again, it's unsure. And then you also have the Fed starting to make some noise, right? The Fed, I can't remember the names, but what's the name yesterday talked about, we're probably about ready for a cut. And then again, what's her name? She came out saying that we are in a good position to, what was the word she used? She said, we're in a good position
to not have to do anything.
No, but she said that, but she said, I forget. She used a very specific term.
Oh, okay.
But essentially, she was saying we're in a good position to be able to just be neutral.
Yeah.
With rates. But God, I wish I could remember the word right now. But it's interesting the vocabulary she chose, because what it implied was not that it's a good time to not cut.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
She implied being neutral.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right now, we are not neutral. We are restrictive. So it again implied that, there might be some dovishness starting to creep into the Fed. So we're just in a very, seesaw moment where we don't know which way the seesaw is going to go. And so I'm not with Jamie. I'm not with Goldman Sachs. I'm personally just seeing what the market gives us. And right now, it's not saying that they're right or wrong.
So one of the things that crushed the market a couple of weeks ago was the consumer sentiment index. Last night, the consumer sentiment, I think it was the University of Michigan or somebody reporting about the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, reported what I reported 2 weeks ago, and that is the numbers they're getting right now are so skewed by political affiliation that they cannot, that they don't trust their own numbers. This is really crazy. They don't trust their own numbers. The Republicans think up and to the right. The Democrats think down and to the left. The Republicans think inflation is going to be 1.5. The Democrats think inflation is going to be 9%. It is so skewed, so based on political affiliation that they believe that the numbers are useless in terms of judging consumer sentiment right now. So if our consumer sentiment numbers are not helping us at all, and that might also be being reflected in some of the ISM, some of the purchasing managers indexes also, because every one of those purchasing managers also has a political affiliation. It could be affecting the small business because that's also a survey asking them how they feel about the future. But what we're seeing from Rasmussen is Trump's at 52, 53% approval. His handling of the economy is way superior to the Democrats. They're saying that they were asked, is Trump fixing America? Overwhelmingly, the vote was yes, he's fixing America. And what we're seeing is optimism across the board at unprecedented levels, with the 51% now, 51% saying the country's on the right track. I said this morning in my reporting on all of that, I've never seen more optimism, except maybe the day after the election. So optimism would tend to cause people to be starting businesses, spending money on equipment, potentially buying stuff for their homes. What do you think about, what do you believe about the overall optimism of the country right now?
I'll continue with what I was saying before as far as this seesaw. We are this indecisiveness right now in the markets and everything makes sense. We have low inflation. I don't even think you can argue it anymore. The Fed's going to be too late because we know that housing lags. We know that the implications of lower oil prices lags. And so we won't see all those. Oil doesn't lag, but airlines affecting it to their numbers, trucks moving good, like all that lags. So we are below 2%. I would wager right now. CPI doesn't say it, PCE doesn't quite say it, but we are, because when they're where they are now, it's like you're approaching a stop. Even Jerome Powell made this analogy. When you're approaching a stop sign, you don't start pressing on the brakes right when you get to the stop sign. You do it before you get there as you're getting in. Well, we haven't been pressing the brakes. We need to start putting some brakes on. It's going to be a hard stop. So we got that going for us. The Fed is probably going to be late. That probably won't be good, but honestly shouldn't be too much noise. And then we have this debt issue. It's an issue. It really is an issue. Because if we can't get it solved now, it's never going to get solved. Like, I really do think it's that dire. If it doesn't happen now, with this group of people we have, when will it ever get taken care of?
Well, the optimist side would say it'll happen because of productivity. So to your point, in the conversations on the All In podcast the other day, they were all agreeing, well, yes, you can grow your way out of the situation, and you can especially grow your way out if you have really significant productivity increases. And so I don't want to wait for that. I'm with you. I want to cut, but it is possible to do it that way.
It's a false narrative. It's a lie. Because it's no different than when somebody gets a pay raise, but they're bad about spending. That's what they do. They spend. Yeah. So if the government gets a surplus of taxes because of all this amazing productivity and growth, they're just going to keep spending. If this were to be true, then why hasn't that panned out over the last 20, 30, 40 years?
Well, as you know,
we have grown. We've grown so much. So at what point?
But the productivity increases haven't been that great since the 90s.
Okay, so what makes us think it's going to happen all of a sudden?
Because of artificial intelligence.
And if it doesn't?
Well, it may not, but I mean, we've got two of them.
So why don't we control what we can control?
Oh, no, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I'm not saying don't cut. Believe me, I'm with you.
No, I know you're not, but I'm just saying this is my frustration with this. It to me, it's this. If there's one thing I really don't like about Republicans is when they talk about we can grow our way out of this problem. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Can it happen? Sure. Will it? Who knows? I don't like to take chances on maybe that pay raise we'll get. When I get that job, that's going to pay me that amount. When I get that bonus, why would we rely on that? Let's control what we can control. Right now, it's not that hard. If everybody, just like Rand Paul said, if everybody, all the different departments would just take a 6% haircut, find 6% waste, everyone can just tighten their belts a little bit, this problem's over. We don't have this problem anymore. With the deficit, the debt's still there.
Right. Yes.
We got to figure that out. And then If we could have a $0 deficit, then maybe with growth, we can start to make our debt irrelevant. But I mean, what you're asking for is this growth and productivity to do two things: to fix the deficit and then fix the debt on top of that.
Right, right, right.
It's not a
So,
good recipe.
adding to my optimism, we have the 𝐤𝐽𝐽𝐻 letter this morning saying, breaking, the odds of U.S. entering a recession in 2025 are now down to 28% per 𝐄𝐦𝐚𝐢𝐥, K-A-L-S-H-I. This marks the lowest chance of recession since February of this year. Of course, I've pretty much gave up on the recession back in February of this year and have believed that there was no chance we'd be seeing a recession. And now, based on the numbers we saw yesterday coming out of the Atlanta Fed and other people, we're looking like we could be hitting those 3% by fourth quarter for sure, maybe even third quarter. What are you thinking?
All right. No, I think this next quarter.
You think of the
Q2.
quarter two?
Q2.
Okay, we'll be over 3% in Q2, but
Yeah.
you have to subtract out the junk that was in quarter one.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying
Net,
ARR or
net,
something
net
from an
of
annual
that,
perspective.
net of that juggling of the what do you call it? The
Are you doing
income.
trailing 12 months or are you doing
I
like
would
how are
just,
you looking at it?
I would just say that everybody kind of felt it was about a 2.5% difference, or around 2 to 2.5% of the negative on the first quarter was due to imports being pulled forward. So I would just say take that same 2.5 to the current 4.3 that the Atlanta Fed is talking about, subtract that 2.5, you're down to 1.8, which I think for the second quarter, I'd be really happy with 1.8.
What was it again? Negative what?
It was a negative 2. They changed it from negative 3.3, I'm sorry, 0.3 to negative 0.2. People say they should add 2.5 to that. Roughly. This is a really rough number. I mean, this
Yeah.
is not an exact
So
number.
it was negative 0.2.
Right.
I think if you add up Q1 and Q2 when it comes out,
There you go.
we will be over 3%.
For Q2 or for
I
both.
think Q2 will come in above 4%.
Okay.
So if I add Q2 and Q1, I would say we are on track for starting Q2 to be over 3%.
Okay. And so then going forward, we're over 3% in Q3, Q4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy.
So the golden age, in your mind, the golden age has begun. You're as optimistic as I am.
The golden age started November 5th.
Oh, there you go. Okay, that's good. I like that. Okay. So the optimism that we're seeing in terms of right track, wrong track, etc., the optimism is warranted.
It's warranted if we can. This first year, I think everything has to be done this first year. Everything. It just does.
Yeah.
You're not going to have next year, give it up. Everyone's going to be trying to, you're going to have elections going on. Everyone's going to be working on that. And you got 1 year to fix all the things. You got to end the wars. Got to secure the border. Got to extend the tax cuts. You got to balance the budget. You got 1 year.
Okay. And if Bill Maher gets red pilled, are the Democrats out for 12 years?
Yeah, Bill Maher. I don't know how to deal with that one. That question. If the Republicans balance the budget, then yes.
Okay.
It'll come down to that.
It'll come down. I don't think we'll have a balance. I think that's a what do they call it? A bridge too far. But if they could,
Really?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think they can balance it in the first year. I think that Bessent would even put it.
No. You asked, those are two different questions.
Okay,
I'm saying that they have to get everything done the first year, meaning that if they're going to balance the budget by the end of his his
Okay.
term,
Okay.
you have to do everything
Okay.
now to
Okay.
set yourself up for that.
Got it.
Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Okay. Okay.
And your question about the next 12 years, if by last year the budget's balanced, then I think yes.
Okay. All right. So you don't think it'll have anything to do with Bill Maher?
No, I don't think so. I don't know people who would listen to him seriously. Like the only reason I even watch him is just because I like the guests he has, not necessarily to hear what he says.
Well, yeah. The reason I say this is because he has been so hard on the Dems, and his audience is Democrats, so he's really running roughshod over his own party and his own what do you want to call it, constituency in his audience. And so
Yeah.
if he went all the way and said, you know what, I'm now a MAGA, that would be that would be
I don't think that'll ever happen.
so. All right, I only got you for 5 more minutes, so let's take a quick look at the numbers. We've got Tesla was now up in the after hours 0.55%, but only at 346 as of now, compared to 355, which is
Wait,
where it was.
we're looking at different markets.
We are. Let me look again. I'm looking at 346.16. That's not what you're saying?
No, I'm seeing 343.68.
That's really weird. What's wrong with who's got
Mine's correct.
Yours is
No,
correct?
I do. Yes.
Well, okay, let me just look at Robinhood to get the confirmation going the other way. It says a problem repeatedly occurred on Robinhood. What? Oh, here we go. So I was looking at CNBC. No, I wasn't. I was looking at Apple.
Oh, you're definitely wrong.
Now we've got 343.60. Is that what you had? What do
Yes,
you
sir.
know? Well, that's what Robinhood says. So, guess what? Apple has now flipped. So now it is 343.60 also. Okay. So
There we go.
that was bizarre. All right. So what do you think happens? Do you think this is going to be a more than a 1 day unhappiness with the followers?
I think we trade sideways in general, the whole market until
Friday
morning. Yeah.
Okay.
It's obvious. There was such light volume today in the markets,
Okay.
like extremely light volume. It was like a typical summer trading session.
I don't think there's going to be any shocks in the job market. I've seen nothing. I see 0 from all the other stuff that I look at. They would suggest that. I mean, even the JOLTS number this morning was good. So I'll be shocked if the jobs number is shocking.
But that could be what the market's waiting for. Just confirmation.
Just to make sure it's yeah. All right. Let's see. We have got my numbers are probably all screwed up now. No, this is now CNBC's numbers. So bonds still sitting at 4.458. We've talked about that already. Oil going up. We talked about that already. It is up 84 cents today, 63.36, the highest it's been in weeks. On Texas Intermediate. Natural gas, $3.72. As someone who understands the oil gas business, sometimes oil and natural gas go in opposite directions. Sometimes they go in the same direction. Do you understand why? Does anybody?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right.
I'd be making something up if I said it.
Well, good. Thank you for being straight up. Gold coming back down. You have any thoughts on the directionality of gold?
Don't get in his way.
Don't get in his way. Silver has been even stronger than gold recently, but there was a lot of conversation last week talking about the fact that silver had been lagging gold and needed to catch up, or gold needed to come down one way or the other. Silver is used in electronics, so there could be a use case for silver. Any thoughts at all on that? Or
no, I mean,
okay.
I don't know. When you see what gold's doing, I mean, I don't know. There's lots of people who do pairs trades between silver and gold, but nah, I'm not doing much in either.
Okay, Bitcoin has bounced off of its retracement, but it only retraced about 10%. So now we're looking at, it's what, 10%? Yeah, pretty close to maybe 9% even, but up 1577 today. You have any reasons for that that you can speak to?
No, I think Bitcoin's kind of, I mean, it it's just hovering around right now, just like everything else is.
Okay.
Like it's like just look at, if you look at the whole market right now over the last,
Yes.
I don't know, few days, it's just, I mean, not even a few days. It's been like 2 weeks. For like the last 2 weeks, we've kind of just been trading sideways, trading sideways. You know, we'll go up a little bit, then we'll come down. We'll go up, we'll come down. So I just think we're in this range right now until there's some forcing mechanism. If it's a trade deal, if it's a ceasefire, if it's the lack of a trade deal, if it's the lack of a ceasefire, I don't. It's a bad data point when it comes to inflation, bad
Right.
jobs.
Right.
Like I think the market is just waiting for a signal or a reason to go one way or the other.
Got it. Putin using tactical nukes. Uh,
Well, that would not be good. Is that something that's happening?
no, not yet.
Oh,
Not
okay.
yet.
I
All
was gonna
right.
say, like, how did I miss that?
So he's making a lot of noise right now. So anyway, all right. Well, listen, I'm going to turn you loose exactly on the moment, depending on whether you have more to say. I will give you time for wisdom.
Listen to Randy. Hit the like button.
Oh, there you go. You're never going to be able to beat that one. So maybe I'll stop asking. All right, Nicholas Gibbs, thank you so much for coming on today and helping us look at all this. And we will see you a week from tomorrow in California. And for all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.
Cheers.